Hey everyone. Welcome to the channel, I'm Six Path Weeb, and today we're diving into an exciting new fanfic topic. What if Naruko was banished and became the Raikage? Part 5. Before we get started, a quick disclaimer, the content on this channel is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used in my videos, all rights and credits go to the respective creators and copyright holders. Alright, let's jump right in and see what happens next in this epic story. In the past 3 hours since the sighting of the Kiri fleet, the defenders of Nami no Kuni, Wave Country, rallied themselves into position to defend their country. Meanwhile, the forces of Konoha moved to the forest near where the Kiri ships would land. They aimed to delay the Kiri forces as long as possible, allowing the Wave samurai and the militia to prepare. When the Kiri forces landed, Ten and her team launched a long-range attack from the cover of the forest, targeting the exposed Kiri nins who were landing on the beach. They threw kunai grenades, exploding kunai, and shurikens at the unprotected Kiri ninjas, causing significant disruption. Shino added support by sending his insects to drain the chakra of many Kiri shinobi, leaving them exhausted and incapacitated. Yamato helped by causing wooden spikes to rise from the ground, impaling several Kiri ninjas. After the initial attack, the Konoha teams quickly fell back when more Kiri ninjas arrived in larger numbers. As they retreated, they activated the traps they had set along the way, slowing the Kiri forces further and weakening their numbers. Once all the traps had been triggered, the Konoha teams withdrew to the safety of the village behind the wooden walls Yamato had created. After another hour, the Konoha teams and the defenders of Nami no Kuni saw the Kiri forces arrive, with over 600 Kiri shinobi surrounding the fortified village. What worried the Konoha forces the most, however, was the sight of the Kiri nins bringing out large volley guns and positioning them around the village. With Izuragi Raita, leader of Kiri invasion. As the Kiri nins surrounded the village, the commander of the Kiri invasion force, Izuragi Raita, the last remaining loyal member of the current Kiri no Shinobigatana Nananin Shu, 7 swordsmen of the mist, stood watching from a small hill overlooking the village. He observed his invasion forces spread out around the village, 600 shinobi surrounding it while 200 remained in reserve at the landing beach. Although his forces had suffered some losses upon landing and during their trek through the forest, due to the traps set by the Konoha teams, his forces remained largely intact. As Raita surveyed his forces, a Chunin approached to give his report. "Raita-senpai, we have surrounded the village as you ordered, and the volley guns have been placed into position," reported the Chunin. "Good," Raita replied. "Shall we begin our bombardment of the village?" asked the Chunin. "No. We will not. Our goal is to breach the walls and take the village intact," Raita responded. "Sir?" asked the Chunin, confused. "The village is strategically important for us, as it lies next to the bridge. We can use it as a supply base and command point for our next move against Konoha," Raita explained. "Understood, sir. I will order a hole to be blown in the wall," the Chunin replied. "Wait," Raita called out. "I want 4 separate holes, one on the left, one on the right, one at the front, and one at the back. Once the holes are created, I want our forces to divide into groups of 150 on each side, splitting them into 3 groups so that we can advance in waves of 50. Afterward, send 2 teams from each side into each hole as skirmishers." "But sir, what about the shinobi we encountered at the beach? Reports say there are at least 6 or 7 teams. We also know that there will be many samurai present, so our teams may not be enough to deal with them and the civilian fighters," said the Chunin. "Those men will be scouts," Raita answered. "I intend to test their defenses first and then send more forces to see who exactly we are dealing with." "Do you think they're from Konoha, sir?" asked the Chunin. "It's very likely," Raita replied. "But how did they know about our invasion of Nami no Kuni? We kept it secret," the Chunin wondered. "They probably learned it from the Toad Sage, Jiraiya. He's known for his extensive spy network," Raita explained. "Understood, Raita-senpai. I'll carry out your orders," the Chunin said, and then left to give the commands. After Raita's orders were given, the 4 holes were created in the walls, and teams were sent through them. As they moved forward, the Kiri nins were met with resistance from the Nami no Kuni militia. Men positioned inside buildings and on rooftops fired crossbows and bows at the invaders. Though initially surprised, the Kiri shinobi regrouped and pushed the militia back. However, they soon encountered barricades on the streets leading to the center of the village. When they tried to break through, they were met with strong resistance from the defenders, with 2 Kiri shinobi losing their lives in the process. After the Kiri teams fell back to regroup, Additional reinforcements were sent through the holes. Together, they mounted a strong offensive against the Nami no Kuni defenders, using kunai launchers and jutsu, along with superior fighting skills. Despite the fierce combat, the Nami no Kuni defenders fought back valiantly. When the Kiri forces appeared on the verge of breaking through, the Nami no Kuni samurai, led by Inari, joined the fight. With their combined efforts, the defenders managed to push back the Kiri forces, causing heavy losses on both sides. Raikage, seeing the challenge posed by the defenders, ordered the next wave of attacks. 200 more Kiri shinobi entered the village, launching another assault. The fighting was intense, but Inari, along with his comrades, continued to rally the defenders. "Hold the line, men. Don't let them break through," Inari shouted, fiercely fighting against the Kiri shinobi. As he blocked two sword strikes, he channeled his chakra into his swords, using it to cut through the enemy's weapons and their defenders. Inari's skill and determination allowed him to kill several Kiri nins, but his efforts were interrupted when an exploding kunai hit near him. The blast sent him flying, but his armor protected him from serious injury. Regaining his bearings, Inari found himself surrounded by 3 Kiri jonin, each armed and ready to strike. Just as one of them prepared to strike, however, something unusual occurred. What's happening to me? I can't move. One of the Kiri jonin cried out. Me too, shouted another. What's going on? Why can't we move? What kind of technique is this? Exclaimed the third Kiri jonin in confusion. It's called Kagemain no Jutsu, shadow imitation technique, came a voice from behind. When they turned, they saw Shikamaru standing calmly behind them. And this is the Kage Kubi Shibari no Jutsu, shadow neck bind technique, Shikamaru explained, performing a series of hand signs. A shadow hand extended from their shadows and reached up to the Kiri jonin's necks, restraining them. After the 3 Kiri jonins were immobilized, Shikamaru moved toward Inari and offered a helping hand. You all took your time, Inari said with a faint smile, clearly grateful to Shikamaru for saving their life. Sorry, it was a bit troublesome, Shikamaru replied. We had to wait until the first wave of enemies was deep enough in the village streets before we could strike effectively. So, are you ready? Inari asked. Shikamaru simply nodded, then activated a seal note. Instantly, explosions erupted throughout the village. As the battle raged between Inari's forces and the Kiri forces, the Konoha teams had positioned themselves carefully within the buildings, waiting for Inari's forces to draw the main part of the first wave deeper into the village. Once the first wave of Kiri nins had moved into the village streets, Shikamaru triggered the exploding tags placed around the area. The explosions took the Kiri forces by surprise, causing chaos as they suffered significant damage from the blasts and the collapse of buildings. Many were injured and trapped. The Kiri forces were thrown into disarray as confusion spread throughout their ranks. Song, Naruto OST 1, Strong and Strike. With the Kiri forces disoriented by the explosions, the Konoha teams launched their counterattack. In the western part of the village, Yamato used his Makuten abilities to raise wooden walls, trapping the Kiri forces. Tenten's team swooped in, launching a barrage of kunai grenades, and shurikens to deal with the Kiri ninjas. At the same time, Shino used his Kikaiku, parasitic destruction insects, to drain the chakra from the Kiri ninjas, while Sai summoned his Choju Giga, super beast's imitation picture, to overwhelm the enemy. Kazuna led the local militia, joining the fight to push back the Kiri forces. In the eastern part of the village, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji used their coordinated tactics to subdue the Kiri ninjas. Shikamaru immobilized them with his Kagemain no Jutsu, and Choji followed up with his Nikudan Sensha, human bullet tank, crushing the Kiri ninjas beneath him. Ino used her Shinrenshin no Jutsu, mind-body disturbance technique, to sow confusion in the Kiri ranks, making several enemies attack their own allies. She even used her Shintenshin no Jutsu, mind-body switch technique, to take control of the Kiri ninjas' bodies, neutralizing them from within. Inari continued to rally the samurai and militia forces, encouraging them to drive the Kiri nin back. Sasuke's root agents, Badger and Boar, also contributed to the assault. Badger used powerful genjutsu like the Tsuji Main Bando no Jutsu, string bean bind technique, which ensnared the Kiri ninjas and lifted them into the air, where he swiftly defeated them with his tanto. Boar used Bubun Baika no Jutsu, partial multi-size technique, to clear the battlefield, smashing through Kiri ninjas with his enhanced strength. In the southern part of the village, Konohamaru led his team, with Kiba, Akamaru, Lee, and Guy by his side. Konohamaru used Enma in his Kanganyai form, Adamantine Nioi form, to fight alongside his drunken monkey fist style, which caught many Kiri shinobi off guard. Moigi and Udon provided support, using genjutsu and sweeping in to finish off enemies, while Lee and Guy used their powerful taijutsu to clear the area. In the northern part of the village, Kakashi led his team, utilizing his Sharingan to copy and counter several Kiri ninjas' jutsu. Neji and Hinata used their gentle fist style to incapacitate or neutralize enemies. Hinata was particularly effective, using her Dageki Sendo, Death Strike, to overwhelm Kiri ninjas, while Sasuke utilized his fire and lightning jutsu to devastate the enemy ranks. Tenten and Kurenai provided long-range support, with Kurenai using genjutsu to confuse the Kiri forces and disrupt their coordination. Tenten launched a variety of weapons from a distance to keep the enemies at bay. Sakura moved through the village, helping to heal the injured. She also used her strength to protect the wounded, preventing enemy ninjas from attacking those in need of medical attention. As the battle progressed, the Kiri forces found themselves overwhelmed. The tide had shifted, and the Kiri ninjas began to retreat, realizing they were outmatched on all fronts. Saji. Sitrep, 4. Ordered Raita to the Chunin he had been talking to earlier, as he saw large numbers of his men retreating and wanted to know why. Sir. Our forces are being pushed back with heavy losses due to the combined efforts of Konoha Shinobi, Wave Samurai, and the Wave Militia, answered Chunin Saji, explaining how the first wave had been lured in by the Wave Militia and Samurai and were hit by a surprise attack. So Konoha did send forces here. Raita thought. How many Konoha Shinobi teams are we dealing with in the village? We're dealing with 6 teams, sir. A total of 24 shinobi, replied Saji. Just 6 teams? How can 6 shinobi teams, a small force of samurai, and a bunch of militia drive our forces back so easily? Raita asked, frustrated. Sir, the forces inside are well organized. The streets and buildings are narrow, so our forces can't use their numbers to their advantage. The Konoha shinobi we're fighting aren't ordinary, Saji explained. What do you mean? Who are they? Raita inquired. According to our reports, all 3 members of the Neo-Ino Shikacho are there, along with copy ninja Kakashi Hatake, healing Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, leader of Konoha's Root Division, and the last Uchiha in Konoha. We also have sightings of Makuten user Yamato, Sarutobi Konohamaru, and his aunt Yuhi Kurenai, Konoha's famed genjutsu specialist. In addition, there's Mito Guy, Rock Lee, Mikumo Tenten, Hyuga Neji, Aburame Shino, and his team, including Inuzuka Kiba and Hyuga Hinata. There are also several other skilled shinobi in the village, Saji reported. So Konoha has sent their best to stop us, Raita said, and then smirked. It seems fortune is on our side. Sir? Asked Saji. Think about it. Konoha found out about our invasion, so they sent a force to stop us. But since they couldn't afford to send enough men to weaken their other lines, they sent their best shinobi, Raita explained. But Raita-senpai, what do you mean by fortune smiling on us? Saji asked. Isn't it obvious? If we win this battle, not only will we gain control of Wave, but we will also take out many of Konoha's most powerful shinobi. This shows that Konoha is desperate. If we win, we will have weakened Konoha significantly, Raita said, grinning. The greatest glory of this war will be mine when I bring word that we defeated Konoha's best shinobi. If they knew about our invasion, why didn't they just destroy the bridge? Saji asked. My guess is they knew it would only delay us temporarily. Even if they destroyed the bridge, we could rebuild it or use the island to transport forces by boat. Also, I heard a few years ago, a shinobi Konoha banished and was later killed by the rogue group Akatsuki, is considered a hero here, Raita replied. Why would Konoha care about that, especially if they banished him? Asked Saji. From what I heard, the shinobi they banished was accused of crimes he didn't commit and suffered greatly for it. He was well connected with influential people, and he saved this country as well as others. He was a hero in Haru/Yuki no Kuni and Takigakure. His connections made Konoha's actions costly. Haru/Yuki no Kuni cut trade ties, Yukigakure ended their alliance with Konoha, and soon as Kazekage tore their treaty apart. The Wasabi family used their influence to send their missions to Suna instead, hurting Konoha's economy badly, Raita explained. So Konoha basically banished the wrong person, Saji said. Correct. That's why Konoha has been declining in recent years. But there's more to this story. The shinobi they banished wasn't just any shinobi. He was a Jinchuriki, the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, the nine-tailed fox, Raita said, shocking Saji. That's why the Akatsuki went after him, since he had the Kyubi inside him. Konoha practically handed him over to them, Raita added. Also, I've heard that the people here built a gravestone for this shinobi after he was killed. That's why the Hokage is so desperate to save this country. Not only will it stop our new front, but it's also to protect the gravestone of that shinobi. Apparently, the Hokage, Tsunade, cared for him deeply and was against his banishment, but her council overruled her, Raida said. That shows how even the strongest women, like Tsunade, can be pushed around by others, Raida thought with a slight chuckle. Maybe I'll find the gravestone of this shinobi she cares so much about and send it back to her, piece by piece. Raida-senpai, what are your orders? Should I prepare the second and third waves for attack and bring up the reserves? Saji asked. No. Have the second wave move in by themselves, Raida commanded. But sir, the second wave by itself won't stand a chance against the caliber of shinobi in the village, along with the other forces there, Saji said. Just do what I ordered you to do, Chunin, Raida snapped. Hi, Saji replied, before turning to carry out the orders. Raida called him back. Also, once you've done that, prepare the volley guns to fire on my command, and load them up with the gifts from Kusagakur, Raida ordered. Sir? Saji asked, confused. But when Raida turned to look at him, he quickly saluted and went to carry out his instructions. Soon, this battle will be over, and Nami no Kuni will belong to Kirigakure, and I will be its hero, Raida thought with a smirk. As soon as Raida gave the order, the second wave of Kiri ninjas was sent to attack the village. The Konoha teams and the wave defenders quickly took up defensive positions and prepared to fight. With Shikamaru's group. All around Shikamaru, intense fighting was unfolding. Inaru and his samurai fought several Kiri swordsmen, while Choji fiercely battled any Kiri ninjas in his sight, motivated by his desire for revenge for his past captivity. Badger and Boar worked in tandem, with Badger using paralytic genjutsu to incapacitate Kiri ninjas, while Boar enlarged his hand using his Bubun Baika no Jutsu to incapacitate enemies with sheer force. Ino provided support using her mind manipulation techniques wherever needed. Just as Shikamaru took down another Kiri ninja with his trench knives, he noticed a Kiri ninja sneaking up behind Ino, who was focused on using her Shinrenshin no Jutsu on another foe. Acting swiftly, Shikamaru tossed several explosive tags into the air and executed his Kage Nui no Jutsu, shadow sewing technique, attaching the tags to the shadow tendrils. He directed the tendrils toward the Kiri ninja, binding them to a wall and triggering the explosions, neutralizing the enemy. Ino turned around in time to see the explosion and the Kiri ninja's body. Realizing Shikamaru had saved her, she thanked him. Watch your back, Ino. It's a bit much for me to constantly keep an eye out for you, Shikamaru remarked with his usual laid-back tone. Thanks, Shikamaru. I will, Ino replied, appreciative of his support. After a few minutes of continued fighting, a sudden whistling sound filled the air. Small explosions followed, and purple clouds covered the entire village. With Konohamaru's group. At the same time, Konohamaru's group was fighting Kiri ninjas in the southern part of the village. Konohamaru faced off against a Kiri Jonin swordsman, using Enma in his Kanganyai form. After a fierce clash, Konohamaru dropped to the ground and performed a leg sweep, knocking the Jonin onto his back. With quick precision, Konohamaru struck the Jonin with Enma, knocking him out. Before he could rest, Konohamaru was surrounded by 6 more Kiri ninjas. He quickly stabbed Enma into the ground and launched himself into the air, using Enma as a point of balance to spin around and knock the attackers away with his feet. Regaining control, Konohamaru hurled Enma at one of the recovering enemies. Enma's arm extended and grabbed the Kiri ninja's neck, incapacitating them. Konohamaru then made a Kage Bunshine, Shadow Clone, which performed a Doden, Doryu Taiga, Earth Style, Earth Flow River, to destabilize the ground beneath their enemies. Konohamaru followed up with a Doden, Doryu Dan, Earth Style, Earth Dragon Bullet, launching mud bullets at the Kiri ninjas. Before the bullets hit, Konohamaru intensified the attack with a Kaden, Karyudan, Fire Style, Fire Dragon Missile, setting the mud bullets ablaze and transforming them into lava bombs. 2 of the Kiri ninjas were taken out, while the other 2 used Kawarimi no Jutsu, body replacement technique, to avoid the blasts. Konohamaru fought against one of the remaining Kiri ninjas while his clone dealt with the other. In a heated battle, Konohamaru delivered a swift double kick to one Kiri ninja's face, knocking them out. He then noticed his clone was in trouble, being overpowered by the second enemy on a rooftop. Racing up to the rooftop, Konohamaru used his Rasengan to take down the foe in a single, powerful strike. After defeating that enemy, Konohamaru quickly evaded a kunai thrown at him, ducking just in time. He located the enemy who had thrown it and swiftly knocked them out with his extendable battle pole. Enma returned to Konohamaru's side, resuming his Kanganyai form. Just as he did, a Kiri Jonin tried to sneak up on Konohamaru. Konohamaru responded with a quick backflip to avoid the Jonin strike. Landing behind the Jonin, Konohamaru struck with Enma, sending the enemy flying into a wall. After dealing with the Jonin, Konohamaru reunited with his group, finding Guy and Lee incapacitating Kiri ninjas left and right, Udon and Moegi working together to eliminate more enemies, and Kiba and Akamaru fiercely attacking all Kiri ninjas in sight. Inari's samurai and the Wave militia also contributed to the defense. Before Konohamaru could join the battle, he heard a whistling sound in the air, followed by explosions and purple clouds enveloping the village. With 10-10's group. In the northern part of the village, 10-10 was engaged in a fierce duel with a Kiri Jonin swordsman. For several minutes, they were evenly matched, exchanging blows that left light cuts across their bodies. Eventually, 10-10 decided to fall back and used her opponent's momentum against him, causing him to stumble forward and fall. She quickly placed an explosive tag on the Jonin's body before jumping away, and the explosion eliminated the threat. As she caught her breath, 10-10 saw a Kiri ninja on a nearby rooftop, preparing to attack Kurenai. Without hesitation, 10-10 flicked a switch on her metal fan, extending the spikes and launching them at the Kiri ninja, taking them out before they could strike. Just as she was dealing with the aftermath of that attack, another Kiri ninja launched a Suten, Mizu Kamikiri, water style, rising water slicer, at her. 10-10 reacted quickly, expanding her fan into a shield that withstood the water jet, though it pushed her back into a nearby wall. Before the Kiri ninjas could follow up, Kakashi and Neji intervened. Kakashi took down the Kiri ninja with the kunai launcher, while Neji intercepted the Kiri Jonin, striking them down with a single hand. 10-10 thanked her comrades and returned to the battle. She noticed a Kiri ninja sneaking up on Sakura, who was busy healing a wounded Wave samurai. Unable to warn her in time, 10-10 threw her fan at the enemy, electrocuting them into unconsciousness before they could harm Sakura. After that, she continued to fight, using her fan to take down more Kiri ninjas with precision. After defeating a group of Kiri ninjas, 10-10 noticed a new wave of Kiri ninjas advancing on her. She summoned her strength to wield her large fan and unleashed a powerful futon, Daitapa, wind style, great breakthrough, to blast them away. As the battle continued, 10-10 saw her teammates, including Sasuke using his Chidori Senbone to paralyze enemies, and Hinata using her Chakra Hari to neutralize opponents. Before she could assist them further, she heard the ominous whistling sound in the air, followed by explosions and purple clouds covering the village. The village was under siege, but the defenders fought on, determined to protect their home. What the Wave defenders and the Konoha teams were unaware of was that the second wave of Kiri Nins sent by Ryuta was merely a diversion. While the second wave engaged in battle with the Konoha teams and the Wave defenders, Ryuta had his men load volley guns with small exploding kunai, each attached with large pouches containing a special powder from Kuza. This powder, when the kunai exploded, would disperse throughout the village, affecting those who inhaled it. The special powder, developed by Kuza, was designed to cause numbness in the body, impair movement, and disrupt the ability to use chakra. It quickly dispersed, becoming harmless after a few minutes. Within moments, both the attacking Kiri Nins and the defending forces, including the Konoha teams, were affected. Everyone began to stagger, feeling weak and unable to properly control their chakra. Ryuta had timed the attack carefully. By sending in the second wave, he ensured the Konoha Nins and Wave defenders were distracted long enough for the kunai to reach their targets. He believed the loss of a few hundred men was an acceptable trade for securing victory. Once the poison had dispersed, many of the defenders lay incapacitated, unable to move or focus. The weakened Konoha ninjas and Wave defenders tried to hold their ground, but the poison had left them struggling. Ryuta, seeing the chance, ordered the third wave to advance and personally led it, aiming to capture the village and overpower the Konoha forces. Despite the odds, the Konoha shinobi, including the weakened Kakashi, continued to fight. Kakashi narrowly avoided a kunai strike to the head and swiftly incapacitated an attacking Kiri Chunin. But the poison made even such simple actions a challenge, leaving Kakashi and others drained. Kakashi looked around, realizing the situation had become dire. He saw Wave defenders falling to Kiri Nins, and his fellow Konoha shinobi struggling to hold their ground. As the battle raged, Kakashi knew their chances of success were slim unless they retreated. At that moment, Sasuke and Sakura appeared before him. Sasuke was visibly injured, with cuts across his body, while Sakura, though worn out, was ready to fight. Both were affected by the poison but still managed to stand. Kakashi-sensei, the situation is critical. Our defensive lines are collapsing. We need to retreat, Sakura said, her voice full of concern. Sasuke, with a stern expression, added, we need to leave now or we will all be defeated. Sakura's voice quivered as she responded, but what about Inari, Tazuna, and the rest of the wave defenders? Sasuke was blunt. This country is lost. We can't stay here to die. If we leave now, we can regroup and protect Konoha. Sakura was torn. But the people here will be left to suffer. Better them than us, Sasuke said coldly. We still have a village to defend. Kakashi, though reluctant, agreed. Sasuke's right. We must retreat, Sakura. It's the only way to ensure we can fight another day. The Hokage's orders were clear. Sakura, struggling with the decision, nodded in understanding. I don't want to leave, but I know we have no choice. Before Sakura could leave, a familiar voice called out to them. So you're abandoning this land, just like you abandoned Naruko, Hinata's voice came from behind. She was standing, bruised and battered, but determined. Kakashi sighed, his face filled with regret. Hinata, we don't have a choice. If we don't leave now, Konoha will lose more ninjas, and the situation here is hopeless. I won't run away, even if it costs me my life, Hinata responded fiercely. Kakashi, knowing the importance of every shinobi, tried to reason with her. Hinata, you're too valuable to Konoha. You can't throw your life away. Hinata, however, stood firm. I won't abandon this place, not when Naruko's legacy is here. I will protect it, no matter what. Sasuke scoffed. You're just letting your emotions cloud your judgment. The country is already lost. Hinata shook her head. Perhaps, but I will fight. This country is where Naruko gave everything. I won't let it be forgotten. Before anyone could stop her, Hinata rushed into the fray, ready to defend the land where her dear friend had once fought. Kuriani, seeing her former student charge forward, immediately followed, determined to assist her. Neji, Kakashi, Ten, and others joined the fight, doing everything they could to protect Hinata and their fellow villagers. Though weakened by the poison, the Konoha team fought valiantly to prevent any further casualties. Hinata's actions, though brave, were met with fierce resistance from the Kiri forces. Still, she fought with everything she had, knowing that this was her moment to honor Naruko's memory and protect the land they had both once fought for. As the battle raged on, each member of the Konoha team, no matter how exhausted, continued to push forward, unwilling to let their comrades fall without a fight. I'm fine, Kurenai-sensei, spoke Hinata, as she pulled the kunai out of her leg, after which Kurenai quickly bandaged up her injury. Hinata, we have to leave now before we're overwhelmed, spoke Kakashi, as he and Neji arrived. I told you, I'm not abandoning these people, said Hinata stubbornly, slowly getting up. But before anyone could respond to Hinata, they suddenly heard a cry out. Izuna, rice rope, also the name of a white spirit wind. After that, a massive air vacuum appeared, blowing the Konoha ninjas away. At the same time, small wind blades from the attack cut at their bodies, leaving painful marks. Though the cuts didn't bleed, they caused immense pain, preventing the Konoha ninjas from moving. When the attack ended, Kurenai, Ten, and Hinata found themselves piled against one another, having hit the side of a nearby house, while Kakashi and Neji were blown further back down the street. After regaining their senses, Kurenai heard a familiar voice, one she had hoped never to hear again. When they looked up, they saw none other than Izuragi Raita, accompanied by 4 jonin behind him. Well, Yuhi Sarutobi Kurenai, so lovely to see you again, sneered Raita. I had hoped to be the one to find you, and it seems I have the pleasure of meeting some of your other friends as well. Raita then turned to Ten. Ah! You must be the infamous Okami Ken no Konoha Blade Mistress. You match the description we have of you, though we never could get a photo. I never thought you'd turn out to be so lovely. He smirked. It's a shame I have to stop you now, but we're not taking any chances with Konoha ninjas. Such a waste. I'm certain my friend Udo Jin-e will be quite angry at me for killing you, though he's been wanting a chance to end someone for a while. Just try it, Ten muttered, her voice filled with defiance, though she struggled to stand due to her injuries and the poison still affecting her. Raita chuckled. All in good time, my dear. All in good time. He then turned his attention to Hinata. And you must be the infamous Hyuga Shikyo no Megami, Hyuga's goddesses of death. Although I find it hard to believe someone like you could do the things I've heard. You're quite an exotic one, despite your bloodline. I also heard the rumor that you've never been with a man, that the one you wanted was the Kyubi Jinchuriki, and since she's gone, you won't let anyone else close to you. Would you like me to end that for you before you go? I could make it somewhat pleasant, Raida said with a smirk, reaching for Hinata, but she slapped his hand away. Don't you dare touch me, Hinata hissed angrily. Raida laughed again. Feisty, I like that. Too bad I can't break you, but I'll have to end you and your friends. I have a country to conquer and no time for these pleasures, he said, his men drawing their swords. Just then, they heard someone cry out, Hinata. They turned and saw Neji and Kakashi running toward them, with Sasuke and Sakura just behind. Raida immediately ordered 2 of his men to intercept Kakashi and the others, trying to hold them off while he and the other 2 Kiri Jonins dealt with Kurenai and the others. The 2 Jonins engaged Kakashi and the others, who were weakened by poison and struggled to hold their own against the fresh and skilled attackers. As Kakashi and the others fought, Raida focused back on Kurenai, Hinata, and Ten. Well, ladies, it's time to say goodbye, but don't worry. Your friends will join you soon enough, he said, raising his sword to strike. At least now I can finally join you, Naruko-chan, Hinata thought, closing her eyes, accepting what she believed would be her fate. I'm sorry I couldn't protect Wave like you would have wanted. Be safe, Hiruzen. Your father and I will be watching you from the next life, Kurenai thought as she closed her eyes, accepting her end. I guess this is it, Ten thought sadly. I didn't get to try for a family. Maybe one day, but now it won't be. A few meters away, Kakashi and the others saw the swords descending toward Kurenai and the others. Hinata. No, Neji cried as he tried to reach his cousin, but was blocked by one of the Kiri Jonins. Ten, cried Sakura. Kurenai, shouted Kakashi. Just as the swords were about to reach their targets, an unknown voice cried out, Byakurai, white lightning. A bolt of white lightning struck the Kiri Jonin who had been about to kill Hinata, instantly defeating them and sending them flying back, their chests destroyed. Raida and the others jumped back, looking around, trying to find the source of the attack. They soon noticed that the other Kiri Jonins who had been fighting Kakashi and the others also took defensive positions. As this happened, Kurenai, Hinata, and Ten opened their eyes, realizing that the swords hadn't reached them. They looked up and their eyes widened in shock. Floating down from the sky was the Raikage, descending like a deity. Lightning sparked all around their body until it finally dissipated. The Raikage wore the traditional yellow cage hat with a lightning symbol. A mask covered their lower face, leaving only their bright blue, emotionless eyes visible. They wore a blue long coat with a white lightning pattern on the right side, black lightning blot edges, and kanji for storm on the back. Their outfit was completed with a black t-shirt, Anbu chest plate, and black gloves. The Raikage? Kurenai said in disbelief. The Raikage? What is she doing here? This battle doesn't involve Kumo or the Heavenly Alliance. Let's hope she isn't here to fight us, since we wouldn't stand a chance, thought Kakashi as he gazed at the Raikage. He couldn't help but shiver slightly as he met her cold, emotionless eyes, feeling both fear and respect in her presence. So this is the infamous Raikage that all the other great shinobi nations fear, thought Sasuke, analyzing the Raikage with awe. The Raikage? What is she doing here? Raida thought with a hint of panic. Like most of Kiri's shinobi, he greatly feared the Raikage, which showed as both he and his men instinctively took a step back, eyes locked on her. The Raikage turned slightly, addressing Kurenai, Hinata, and Ten, though her eyes locked with Kurenai's. It seems we meet again, Kurenai-san. Once again, my people and I have come to your rescue. Still in shock, Kurenai nodded and replied, Hi. The Raikage then pulled a small pill bottle from her pocket and tossed it to Kurenai. Take one of these pills, and give the rest to your comrades and the wave defenders. It's an antidote to the poison affecting you all. It will take effect within a minute. The Raikage then turned to face Raida and his men. Izuragi Raida, cease your attack on this village and leave Nami no Kuni immediately. If you refuse, you and your men will die here. Raida, still defiant, took a step forward. We do not take orders from you. Our invasion of this country does not concern you. This is the way of the shinobi. The weak fall, and the strong rise. The Raikage scoffed. Spoken like the fool you are, just like your Mizukage. How dare you insult our Mizukage, Raida shouted angrily. You will pay for your insults and crimes against Kiri and Mizu no Kuni. Crimes? The Raikage said mockingly. If anyone is guilty of crimes, it's you and your Mizukage, as well as that cowardly daimyo of Mizu no Kuni. You've participated in the genocide of most bloodline holders in Kiri and Mizu no Kuni, as well as the murder of countless innocent people. Raida sneered. The extermination of those traitors was for the betterment of Kiri and Mizu no Kuni, so it can rise as the greatest power in the shinobi world. If you think that will happen, you're more of a fool than I thought, replied the Raikage. Enough of this. It's time for you to die, Raida shouted as he ordered his men to attack. The 3 Kiri Jonins surrounded the Raikage, believing that attacking her on all sides would give them the advantage. They quickly performed a series of hand seals and unleashed their attacks. Suten, Haran Banshu, Water Style, Stormy Blockade. Suten, Daibakufu no Jutsu, Water Style, Great Waterfall Technique. Suten, Hanryu, Water Style, Tearing Torrent. As the 3 attacks came in, the Raikage remained calm and still. With incredible speed, she completed a series of one-handed seals. Just as the attacks were about to strike, she called out, Mizu no Tatsumaki, Tornado of Water. A massive water vortex erupted from the ground, surrounding the Raikage. The vortex absorbed the water and power from the attacks, growing stronger. With an explosion of force, the vortex expanded, sending the attacking Kiri Jonins flying, knocking them unconscious and through nearby buildings. Kakashi, Kurenai, and the others watched in awe as the Raikage effortlessly defeated the Kiri Jonins with a single jutsu. As the Raikage dealt with the Kiri Jonins, Raida called out, Madoe Izuna, Rapping Wind Spirit. After Raida swung her sword downward to strike the ground, a massive wind blast surged from it, heading toward the Raikage with incredible speed. The force tore up the ground as it sped toward her. As the attack closed in on the Raikage, she stood her ground, allowing the strike to come closer. Just as it was about to hit, the Raikage swiftly raised her hand, her palm stretched out forward, and called out, Rei-hei, Lightning Wall. When the attack hit, a massive explosion followed. Raida grinned, thinking she had defeated the Raikage, but that feeling quickly faded. As the smoke cleared, the Raikage remained standing, her hands still extended, protected behind a large wall of electricity. The Konoha team and the Wave Defenders watched in shock, unable to comprehend how effortlessly the Raikage had stopped the attack as if it were nothing. Is that all? The Raikage taunted as she lowered her hand, causing the electric wall to dissipate. If that's the case, you might as well leave while you still have a chance. Raida growled at her words, but before she could respond, 7 figures appeared beside the Raikage. Kurenai and Sakura recognized 4 of them as the Raikage's bodyguards, Yugito, Yatsuki Killer Bee, Fu, and Okatsu. The other 3 were clearly members of Storm, recognizable by their blue and black masks, though these ones had distinct shapes, a leopard, a Baku, and a dragon. Yo, boss. You okay? We saw the explosion and thought you might be in trouble, said Killer Bee. I'm fine, B. Thank you, the Raikage replied. Would you like one of us to finish this off, Raikage-sama? Asked the one in the leopard mask, who appeared to be the leader, eyeing Raida. Raida grew nervous at the sight of the bodyguards and the Storm members, but the Raikage quickly spoke. No. Stay back. This is my fight, she ordered, pointing toward the Konoha group and stepping forward to face Raida herself. The others moved to join the Konoha group, who had just recovered from the poison, thanks to the antidote the Raikage had given to Kurenai, who distributed it to the others and the Wave Defenders. So, you'd rather fight me yourself instead of letting your men handle it? Does that mean you recognize my strength and know that I'm too much for them? Raida sneered arrogantly. Not at all. Any one of my people could defeat you with ease. The only reason I told them to stay back is because I prefer to finish what I've started, even if it's dealing with someone like you, the Raikage retorted, which only further enraged Raida. We'll see about that. You haven't seen my deadliest technique yet, Raida shouted as she swung her sword again, calling out, Tobi Izuna, Jump Wind Spirit. Raida's blade sent a crescent-shaped vacuum of air toward the Raikage at incredible speed. But as the attack struck, it passed right through her, leaving Raida, the Konoha team, and the Wave Defenders stunned. After a few moments, the Raikage shimmered and then faded, revealing that it wasn't the real Raikage at all. It seems that your deadliest technique is as unimpressive as the rest of them, the Raikage's voice came from behind Raida. The standards of the great swordsman of the mist must have really dropped to allow someone like you to join. How? Did she use some kind of bunshine, clone? Kurenai asked aloud. No, it wasn't a bunshine, replied Yugito, standing near the Konoha group, and hearing her, she added, it was a Zanzo, after image. A Zanzo? Sakura asked, confused. Yes. A Zanzo is an ancient technique that the Raikage learned. It was used by the first ninjas when the shinobi clans were still forming. The technique requires incredible speed. The user moves so quickly that most people's eyes can't track them, leaving only an afterimage for a few seconds. It was an outdated technique after Bunshin were created, but those who can still do it today, like the Raikage, learned it through rigorous taijutsu and speed training, Fu explained, surprising the Konoha team. Ryuta, now furious, turned and launched another Tobi Izuna at the Raikage. Again, it passed right through her, revealing another afterimage. This continued for several minutes as Ryuta fired rapidly, only to miss each time. Finally, Ryuta fired 3 Tobi Izuna blades in quick succession when the Raikage appeared behind her. The Raikage dodged 2 but was grazed by the last one, which cut the sleeve of her coat. Ryuta's eyes widened in delight. Did you see that? My Tobi Izuna actually cut you. This proves that my technique is the ultimate killing technique. Does it make you happy? The Raikage asked, her tone calm. What? Ryuta asked, confused. Does this little cut on my coat really make you happy? The Raikage continued. After all the attacks you threw at me, all you managed to do was nick my sleeve. Your so-called ultimate killing technique couldn't even touch me. Ryuta's rage grew as he prepared for another attack. I've grown tired of this little fight. It's time to end it, the Raikage said flatly, as she reached for something at her waist. As Ryuta swung her sword again, calling out Tobi Izuna, the Raikage swiftly drew a blue sword hilt, and a yellow lightning-shaped blade shot out. She raised it and slashed the incoming attack in half, sending the remaining vacuum air harmlessly past her. What? Ryuta gasped in disbelief. He couldn't fathom how his most powerful attack had been so easily cut down. The Konoha team was equally shocked, but what surprised them the most was the sword the Raikage wielded. It was the Raijin no Ken, Sword of the Thunder God, a legendary weapon once thought lost after a traitor, Aoi Rokuso, stole it and vanished. The sword had been thought to be lost when it fell off a cliff during a battle with Naruko, Sasuke, and Sakura 10 years ago. Where did the Raikage find it? The Raijin. The last time it was seen, Aoi had it. But now it looks different. It's shaped like a lightning bolt, Kakashi thought in amazement, still in awe. The Raijin. Impossible. That sword was lost years ago, cried Ryuta in disbelief. Well, clearly it no longer is, since, as you can see, I have it, and I can use it in ways that Konoha's Nidaime Hokage could only dream of, spoke the Raikage. But still, it is time to end this fight, said the Raikage, deactivating the Raijin and placing it back on her belt. And I will do it without using the Raijin, since I do not need it to defeat the likes of you. We'll see about that, shouted Ryuta as she charged forward at the Raikage with her sword. As Ryuta charged, the Raikage quickly performed a few one-handed hand seals, bringing her hand up with the palm forward. She cried out, Kaze no Atami, wind of pain. A massive vortex of wind surged from her hand, heading straight for Ryuta, who couldn't dodge in time. She was hit full force by the attack, slashed all over her body by small wind blades. She was then sent flying through the air and out of the village. After defeating Ryuta, the Raikage turned to her teams as well as the Konoha team and wave defenders, who had all recovered from the effects of the poison. The Raikage then walked over to face the Konoha group, while Killer Bee, Naruko, and the other Storm Nin stood behind her. The Raikage spoke. It seems that it is becoming a habit lately for my shinobi and me to come to the aid of Konoha ninja, considering the events of the past month. And if I may, I'm guessing that the reason you're here helping to defend Nami no Kuni is to prevent Kiri from using it as a staging point for opening a new front against Konoha from the rear, especially since Nami no Kuni severed ties with your village 10 years ago. That is correct, Raikage Dono, but not to sound ungrateful for your aid against Ryuta and her men, as well as for saving Kureani and the others, for we are grateful. But why are you and your shinobi here? Nami no Kuni is neither an ally nor a member of Kumo or the Heavenly Alliance. I'm afraid your questions will have to wait until later, since, if you haven't forgotten, we are still in the middle of a battle, one that Kiri is on the verge of winning if we don't drive them out now, said the Raikage. Kakashi agreed, knowing that the battle had to come first, and that answers could wait. With the Raikage and her shinobi on their side, Kakashi knew they stood a chance. At that moment, another Storm Nin appeared on his knees next to the Raikage, wearing a blue and black mask shaped like a panther. Raikage-sama. Yes, what is it, Panther? Asked the Raikage. Teams 22, 16, and 12 have arrived and are ready to engage the Kiri forces. Good. Have Team 16 engage the Kiri forces on the southern part of the village, Team 12 engage the Kiri forces on the eastern part of the village, and Team 22 engage the Kiri forces on the western part of the village. Meanwhile, we'll engage the Kiri forces here and drive them back. Also, make sure to distribute the antidote to the Konoha teams and wave defenders affected by the poison, and have our combat medics assist the wounded, ordered the Raikage. Panther quickly saluted and went off to relay the orders. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a country to save, said the Raikage, and with that, she and her group set off to engage the Kiri forces. Not wanting to be outdone, the Konoha group and the wave samurai and militia members followed in their wake to do their part. The southern part of the village. In the southern part of the village, the defense line was on the verge of collapse. Most of the wave defenders were incapacitated by the poison, either unconscious or too weak to move. Kiba and Akamaru were on the ground, unable to move due to the poison and injuries from continuing to fight. Moigi and Udon were beside them, struggling to get up but failing. The only ones still able to fight were Guy, Lee, and Konohamaru, who were desperately trying to hold off the Kiri nins and defend their comrades. However, despite their efforts, they were losing ground quickly against the ever-growing Kiri forces. Just when they were about to be overwhelmed, an unknown voice shouted, "Futon, Mugen Sajin Daitapa, wind style, infinite sand cloud great breakthrough." A massive blast of wind and sand hit the advancing Kiri forces, blinding some and sending others flying into stone walls, knocking them out. Once the wind and sand dissipated, another voice shouted, "Koton, Kautetsu no Toge, steel style, steel spikes," and dozens of small metal spikes erupted from the ground, impaling the Kiri nins who had been blinded by the attack. Before the remaining Kiri nins could react, they were pounced on by a large lion, which swiftly dispatched them. When it was over, the lion morphed into a man wearing Onbu-like armor and a blue and black mask shaped like a lion. He was joined by 3 more Onbu, each with similar outfits and masks, though shaped like a chimera, a fox, and a raccoon. "Who are you?" asked Guy. Though he recognized their uniforms as Onbu, the masks were unfamiliar. Before anyone could answer, Lee spoke up, "They are from Kumo, and they are members of the youthful Storm Division of Kumo, the same group that saved Sakura-chan, Choji-san, Kurayani-san, and me from the hold." This revelation surprised Guy, Konohamaru, and the others. "Kumo? But why are you here?" "Nami no Kuni isn't a member or an ally of the Heavenly Alliance," Konohamaru asked. "We're here simply to help, as the Raikage wishes to assist this country personally, and we have Storm go wherever our Raikage goes. That's all you need to know for now," replied Chimera. "The Raikage is here herself?" asked Guy, stunned that a Raikage would leave her village to defend a country that wasn't allied with hers. Chimera nodded, confirming it was true. "Here, take these, you'll need them," spoke Raccoon as she tossed a pill bottle to Guy, who caught it. She then moved over to heal a wounded wave samurai. "What is it?" asked Guy. "It is the antidote to the poison that the Kiri nins used. The poison was originally given to them by Kusagakur, but our spies managed to obtain a sample of it, along with several other poisons, and created an antidote for it. It should take effect in a few minutes after taking it," replied Fox, which of course surprised the Konoha ninjas at how well prepared the Kumo ninjas were. "How do we know it's not some other kind of poison that will harm us or knock us out if we take it?" Kiba asked, still unsure whether they could trust them. "Don't say such negative things, Kiba-kun. The ninjas of Storm are honorable and youthful shinobi. Besides, if they wanted to harm us, they could have already done so, especially since they're highly skilled and powerful shinobi. They wouldn't need to use such tricks, especially not when we're in our weakened condition," Lee answered. He then took a pill from the bottle and swallowed it. "Thank you, Lee-san. We've heard much about your skill and power from our Commander Falcon, especially from the raid on the hold. He holds you in high regard, as does Captain Hawk," said Chimera. "What was that jutsu you used that caused those metal spikes to come out of the ground?" "I've never seen anything like that before," asked Konohamaru after swallowing the pill he had been given. "The jutsu I used is one I can perform, thanks to my clan's bloodline," replied Fox. "But that's impossible. The only bloodline that could use jutsus involving metal was the Tatara clan, thanks to their Koton, steel release, bloodline. They disappeared before the founding of the great shinobi villages. They were believed to be extinct," Guy said in disbelief. "That is something we wanted the world to believe. We went into hiding in the mountain ranges of Kaminari no Kuni, Lightning Country, and lived there until the civil war started. We joined the rebel factions, and now we're proud members of Kumagakure," replied Fox, surprising the Konoha team. "And that jutsu you used, it was similar to what Gaara-san can do when he uses his sand manipulation jutsu," Lee added. "That's right. I can use Sabuton, sand release, just like the god Imikaze Kage and the other previous hosts of the Ichibi no Shukaku, one-tailed Shukaku. However, I cannot use it to the same extent because my clan was the original guardian of the Ichibi no Shukaku spirit, until we were wrongfully accused of treason by the Yondaime Kazekage and were forced to flee. We eventually joined Kumo. I can use Sabuton because of a special hidden jutsu created by my clan based on the abilities of the Ichibi no Shukaku hosts, Chimera explained. And that trick where you turned into a lion? I've never seen a transformation like that, Kiba said, now starting to regain his strength from the antidote. No, it wasn't a transformation jutsu. I simply transformed because I'm from the Shihoin clan, answered Lion. This caused a confused look from the younger Konoha members, but an understanding nod from Guy. Yes, I see now. That makes sense, replied Guy. Sensei? Lee asked. There are stories I've heard of a clan in Kumo called the Shihoin clan. They possess a bloodline that allows them to literally transform into animals that match their personality. I had heard of them but never met one until now. They're even said to be one of the 3 great founding clans of Kumo, much like how the Uchiha and Senju clans are the great founding clans of Konoha, Guy explained. This surprised Kiba and the others at the thought of such a clan existing. You are well informed, Guy-san, but I believe we no longer have time for talking, Fox said, pointing out the large number of Kiri nins heading toward them. Yes, of course. We cannot let these unyouthful shinobi dampen our flames of youth, Guy cried. Hi. And before this battle ends, I shall defeat 50 more Kiri nin. And if I cannot, I shall swim to Mizu no Kuni and back with just one hand, Lee cried. Yosh. The flames of youth burn brightly in you, my beautiful student. I will help you achieve your goal. If you fail, I shall run around Konoha 1,000 times with just my hands, Guy cried, after which he and Lee charged forward, shouting about their youthful energy. The storm nins just stood there, sweat dropping at the back of their heads. Man. They're just as crazy and weird as I heard. But still, I can't help but kind of like them, thought Fox, smiling slightly behind his mask, as he and the other storm nins ran forward to help Guy and Lee. They were quickly followed by Konohamaru and the others, as well as the wave defenders, who had recovered from the poison and were eager to join the fight to drive Kiri out of their country. Western part of the village. Meanwhile, on the eastern part of the village, Yamato was wounded, leaning against a wall with Shino, who was unable to move. He had been severely affected by the poison, and his Kikaiku were working hard to counteract it, but it left him numb and immobile. Sai was struggling to fend off a Kiri Jonin with his 2 Tanto blades. Tiger, Wolf, and Bird were also fighting off several Kiri nins, along with a few remaining samurai who were still able to fight, trying to protect Tazuna and the others who were weakened by the poison or injuries. While Sai blocked several strikes from the Jonin swordsman, the swordsman managed to knock one of Sai's Tanto blades out of his hand. He then threw a pepper bomb into Sai's eyes, temporarily blinding him for a few seconds and giving the Jonin an opening to knock Sai to the ground. Just as the swordsman prepared to strike, a female voice called out, Tentaiya, celestial arrow. And an arrow made of chakra pierced the Jonin's chest from behind, defeating him. At the same time, several Kiri nins about to fire kunai at Tiger, Wolf, and Bird from a nearby rooftop suddenly found themselves surrounded by hundreds of flowers that seemed to grow from the roof floor. A male voice called out, Kubitan, Chika, plant style, scattered flowers, and thousands of flower petals swirled around the Kiri nins, trapping them in a spiral of flowers that cut them like tiny blades. As the sphere collapsed, the Kiri nins had no room to escape and were overwhelmed by the petals. When Sai and the others looked up, they saw 2 storm nins standing on the rooftops. One, clearly female by the shape of her body and wearing a snake onbu mask, held a bow and arrow made of chakra. The other, wearing a frog-shaped onbu mask, stretched his hands out, allowing the flowers to fall back to the ground. Who are these people? Tiger asked. I believe they're storm nins from Kumo, the same group that saved my sensei, Kurenai, and her team from the hold, Shino replied, surprised but maintaining his composure. What is Kumo doing here? This fight doesn't concern them, Bird remarked. More importantly, what kind of jutsu did that guy use? Was it Makuten, would release? Wolf asked. No, it wasn't Makuten, Yamato answered, holding his side where he had been wounded. I've heard of a clan in Kumo that uses a special bloodline known as Kubitan, plant release, which is similar to Makuten in some aspects. The clan is called the Kuchiki clan, and only a few members possess the bloodline. The Kuchiki clan is one of the 5 founding clans of Kumo, much like how the Uchiha and Senju clans are the founding clans of Konoha. But what about the one with the bow and arrow made of chakra? Sai asked. I don't know. I've never heard of a bloodline or a clan technique like that before, Yamato admitted, as curious as the others. That is no concern of yours, Snake said as she and her partner appeared in front of the Konoha team, surprising Yamato by how she knew his name. You're right about my partner's bloodline and his Kuchiki clan being similar to your Makuten abilities. Why is Kumagakura involved in this battle? Shino asked. It doesn't concern you or your alliance. We are here because the Raikage has ordered us, and as members of Storm, we always follow our cage's orders, Frog explained. You mean the Raikage is here? Wolf asked in surprise. The two Storm Nins simply nodded. Then, two more male Storm Nins arrived, one wearing a monkey mask and the other a dog mask. Dog, did you and Monkey distribute the antidote to those affected in the center part of the village? Snake asked. Yes, we did, Dog replied. You have an antidote for the poison? Kazuna asked, joining the conversation. Yes, we do. Here is some for all of you. It should take effect within minutes, Dog said, handing out the antidote. I also sent my hawk to provide an aerial view of the situation. From what it looks like, there are about 30 Kiri Nins approaching us, and they'll be here in a few minutes. We need to be ready, Monkey added. Before the Konoha group and the Wave Defenders could ask further questions, their answer arrived when a large hawk swooped down and landed on Monkey's back, seemingly merging with him. What was that? Bird exclaimed in shock. Before Monkey could respond, Sai answered for him, You're from the Ning clan. The Ning clan? Kazuna asked, even more confused. They're a clan of shinobi who used to live in Kirigakure but fled when the Bloodline Crusades began. Their techniques are similar to Maisumi Jutsu, but they use tattoos of animals on their bodies to summon them for battle. They can control the animals and even see through their eyes, even from great distances. The animals return to them when called, or if destroyed, they are recalled, Sai explained. Now that we've introduced ourselves, I think we should prepare for the 30 Kiri shinobi heading this way, Snake said. Snake is correct. Dog, you help heal the wounded while we engage the Kiri forces, spoke Frog, turning to Yamato and Tazuna. Once you all have recovered from the poison, we will need your help. Tazuna-san, we will need you and your samurai to assist us in fighting the Kiri shinobi, while you and your volunteers help Snake with long-range support. Yamato-san, we need you and your team to assist us in the battle against the Kiri shinobi once you are ready. Both men nodded in agreement. The Storm Nins hid in some of the empty buildings, ambushing the Kiri forces as they passed by. Soon, the Konoha Nins and the Wave Defenders joined the Storm Nins, pushing the Kiri forces back. Eastern part of the village. At the eastern part of the village, Shikamaru was trying to think of a solution. Both Ino and he were not in a condition to fight, having inhaled a large amount of poison. Choji and Inari were doing their best to hold back several Kiri Nins in their weakened and wounded states, along with a few Wave Samurai who were in similar, if not worse, condition. Badger had fallen, unable to defend himself from a surprise attack. Boar lay on the ground, wounded from his fight, and the remaining Wave Defenders were in a similar state, either wounded or poisoned. After analyzing the situation, Shikamaru realized there were only two possible outcomes, one where they would all be captured by the Kiri forces, or another where they would attempt to break out of the village, possibly leading to many casualties. There was also the risk that Inari and his men would be left behind, unable to keep up with the retreat. Just as Shikamaru thought all hope was lost, a voice rang out, Kushios no Jutsu, Ukamaida, summoning technique, wolf pack. Before they knew it, a dozen wolves in black, white, and gray emerged from nowhere and attacked the Kiri forces, scattering them in chaos. At the same time, two Kiri Nins appeared behind Choji and Inari, who were too distracted to notice. But before Shikamaru could warn them, another shinobi, wearing Onbu armor with a blue and black mask shaped like a cat, emerged from a wall behind the two Kiri Nins and swiftly neutralized them. Shikamaru recognized the figure as a storm ninja from Kumo, based on the description Choji had given them. Moments later, another storm nin appeared and engaged the remaining Kiri forces hand to hand. This female ninja swiftly dodged a strike, punching a Kiri nin in the stomach, knocking them unconscious. Her moves were incredibly precise and strong, showing her remarkable skill. The female storm nin then performed a backward flip to avoid another attack, kicking her assailant in the back of the head and sending them flying into a wall. She blocked a kunai with her own, then avoided another thrown by bending backward, demonstrating her agility and speed. Reacting quickly, she threw shurikens at a Kiri nin, then sidestepped another attack. With a swift kick, she knocked the Kiri nin to the ground before launching herself into the air to land a powerful blow, knocking him unconscious. Though hit by several kunai, she performed a body replacement technique, Kawarimi no Jutsu, to escape harm, revealing her mastery over ninjutsu. As the Kiri forces were neutralized, another storm nin arrived, quickly moving to tend to the wounded. They administered antidotes to those affected by the poison, including the Konoha nins and wave defenders. Once the poison was cleared, the group took a moment to examine their mysterious saviors. The one who had saved Choji and Inari wore a standard Onbu uniform with a cat-shaped mask. The one healing the wounded wore a bull-shaped mask, while the one who had fought the Kiri nins wore an eagle-shaped mask. The one who had summoned the wolves wore a demon-shaped mask. "Who are you?" Ino asked, her curiosity getting the better of her. Shikamaru, always the strategist, answered for them. "Don't you remember the group that saved Choji, Kurenai, and the others from the hold? They're from Kumo, part of the Storm Division, right Choji?" Choji nodded. "Yeah, they're from Storm, but they're not the same group that saved me and the others before." "If you're from Kumo, why are you here?" Bor asked, his tone sharp despite the fact they had just been saved and healed. "We have no obligation to answer you, Konoha nin," replied the one wearing the eagle mask. "We go wherever Raikage tells us to go." Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. "The Raikage is here?" "Indeed," answered the one with the cat mask. "But that's not something you need to concern yourself with." Shikamaru, intrigued, asked, "Is that ability you use to pass through walls a bloodline technique? I didn't sense any chakra when you did it." The one with the cat mask smirked behind their mask. "It seems our profile on you was accurate, Nara Shikamaru. We know a lot about you, including your role as a strategic commander of Konoha." "Troublesome," Shikamaru muttered, realizing his personal information was on file. "We know about all your shinobi," the one with the bull mask added. "As Sun Tzu said, know your enemy." "Yeah, but we're not your enemy," Choji protested. "Not yet," replied the eagle masked ninja. "But for now, we share a common goal. We'll fight alongside you against the Kiri forces." "Fine," said Shikamaru. "But was that technique a bloodline ability?" "Yes," answered the bull masked ninja. "But that's impossible. No bloodline allows you to pass through walls," Ino said in disbelief. "In the shinobi world, nothing is impossible," the bull nin responded. "All warfare is based on deception." Ino sighed in frustration, but before she could retort, Inari spoke up. "Enough with the questions. We need to focus on the enemy. The Kiri forces are approaching." Shikamaru nodded. "Inari-san is right. Let's get to work." The wave defenders, the Konoha nins, and the storm nins formed up, preparing for the next battle. With the Raikage and his bodyguards leading the charge, the tide of the battle slowly began to shift in their favor, driving the Kiri forces back. Dear YouTube family, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with all my latest videos. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.